Now, we know that wholesale prices, energy prices are falling, Shanker. So the price cap is also being reduced. Is this going to mean people watching and listening are going to be paying less in real terms for their gas and electricity?
Yeah, so I think it is good news that Ofgem has seen fit to lower the price cap. I would make an initial comment that price caps in general are not. Economists don't tend to favour them as a mechanism to generate more competition and lower consumer prices, because the cap tends to have adverse effects on production, and it tends to cause some entrants in the market to exit. So long term, a price cap is generally not a good idea. It generally hasn't worked. Now, having said that, obviously, we are supportive of anything that lowers energy costs. Energy costs are a massive burden for UK consumers and also UK businesses. But it isn't just about Ofgem lowering the price cap. It's also about all the other things. And there isn't any one single silver bullet that's going to solve the energy problem in the UK or indeed elsewhere. You need to do lots of different things. Some of those things involve producing more. Some of those things involve dealing with our interconnection policies into the grid. And you want to do everything possible to lower the costs of production and transmission and distribution of energy around the country.
Shanker, wholesale prices are falling. Are we ever going to see energy prices in our homes as they were before COVID, before the war in Ukraine?
Well, it very much depends on what we do. I mean, I don't see a reason why we can't have lower energy costs going forward, but that will require significant energy reform in the UK. Now, one of the good things about the recently announced regulatory reform package that Secretary of State for Business and Trade, Kemi Badenoch, announced recently was an effort to deal with this and to reform across the board in different areas of energy regulation to ensure that we can lower those costs. It's a crucial issue because it's one of those things that if your energy costs are very high, then everything that you do is more expensive. Your food is more expensive, your transportation is more expensive, everything is more expensive, and your businesses can't be competitive. So it's a real priority to do this. And I think with some of these energy reforms that are coming, we will see more competition and lower prices going forward.
I know you're pressed for time. I was just going to ask you about that. I'm glad you raised that. The cost of transportation. We saw in those inflation figures yesterday, which frankly were disappointing, down to 8.7% from 10.1%. I thought it was going to be closer to 8%. But food inflation, Shanker, still way up there at 19.1%. Is fuel costs, I understand, are a big part of that?
Absolutely. No. For different sectors, energy is a different component in the mix. So if you're producing steel, for example, almost half of the cost of production of steel is your energy cost. If you're moving food around the country, then obviously your transportation costs are a huge component of the cost. Now, one of the things that happened with the Russian invasion of Ukraine is it led to shortages of things like fertilizer and so forth, and that meant that the costs for farmers went up significantly, and that cost had to be sent on to the passed on to the consumer. So what you want to do in order to lower overall inflation in the UK is deal with those sectors that are almost the lifeblood areas of the economy, the things that, if they remain very expensive, you really can't lower the costs of those basic staples of family life. So energy is sort of top of the list, but you need to also figure out ways of lowering your transportation costs, your land costs, planning and so forth, and it's only if you do that you can lower the sort of basket of people's weekly shopping. You can lower those costs to a more manageable amount.